Welcome to the Nordic Venture Show, your speed date with the coolest ventures, brightest founders, and exciting things happening in the Nordics. In this episode, our venture date is with Light, the AI-native global finance platform.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a fascinating area, the future of financial operations, specifically for global businesses.
Right.
We've got a bunch of materials here from a company called Light, and honestly, they're proposing a pretty new approach.
Yeah, it looks quite different.
So we're going to explore their platform, their solutions, and importantly, their vision for why, the traditional way of doing enterprise finance might be outdated. Our goal today is really to understand what makes Light different and, what the actual benefits could be for you if you're dealing with global finance complexities.
Exactly. We'll be digging into their core idea, this AI native ledger, looking at the actual platform capabilities, how they say they stack up against, the big players.
Like NetSuite, QuickBooks.
Right, those guys. And we even have their manifesto. It's pretty bold, arguing for a whole new category of financial software.
A manifesto, okay. It sounds like they're not holding back.
Not at all. It's a big vision, and we're here to, break it all down.
Okay, let's start right at the heart of it then. This AI native ledger. It sounds very cutting edge. But practically speaking, what does that mean day to day?
Well, what's interesting, I think, is that they've apparently built the AI right into the basic accounting processes. It's not just an add-on.
Okay.
So we're talking about automating stuff like accounts receivable, accounts payable, the actual bookkeeping, even generating financial reports.
And all in one place.
That's the key point, yeah.
Wow.
Especially for businesses operating across different countries, different entities. They're really aiming to kill that headache of juggling multiple systems that, frankly, don't talk to each other.
Right, the chaos of multiple systems.
Exactly. So by putting AI at the core, it's not just about automating tasks. It's potentially like creating a self-learning financial brain for the company.
That definitely resonates. I mean, we hear all the time about companies just wrestling with different systems, endless spreadsheets, especially with international subsidiaries.
It's a common pain point.
So Light's saying, here's a unified AI-powered hub. They even have this quote they use a few times from Rasmus Vogt at Family. He says, it's the first solution ever that makes non-finance employees excited about invoices and expenses.
Which is quite something, isn't it?
It really is. What does that suggest to you?
Well, it hints that maybe it's not just about making the finance team's life easier, which is important, obviously.
Sure.
But if the platform is genuinely intuitive enough for, say, salespeople or project managers to submit invoices or expenses without tearing their hair out, then that could free up the finance pros to do more strategic stuff like analysis and planning. Plus, maybe you get cleaner data from the start, better adoption across the board.
Makes sense. So, okay, beyond this core AI ledger idea, what are the key capabilities Light is really shouting about?
Control and reporting seem to be huge pillars for them. They really stress this instant consolidation of financial reports across all your entities.
Oh, the end of spreadsheet hell, maybe?
That's the promise. A direct answer to that nightmare of manually stitching reports together. And think about the speed. Getting that real-time view lets you make decisions faster. Maybe spot issues weeks earlier than you normally would.
Okay, faster decisions. What else?
They also talk about creating custom reports easily, like single-click reports on customers, vendors, spending patterns, and importantly, immutable record keeping.
Immutable, meaning?
Once a record is in, it's permanent, can't be altered or deleted, like carving it in stone.
Wow.
Which gives you this incredible level of trust and auditability. Huge for compliance, dealing with regulators, any disputes.
Yeah, no more, oops, did I delete that row? Or trying to trace errors back through 5 versions of a spreadsheet. That sounds like a big deal for accuracy.
Definitely.
They also list things like revenue capture, global payments, spend management as core functions. Let's zoom in on global payments for a sec. What problems are they solving there?
Well, based on their materials, it looks like they're trying to smooth out that whole process, from actually making payments in different currencies.
Which can be a pain.
Right, to reconciling them afterwards. They talk about native multi-currency support, real-time conversion rates, automated valuation adjustments, basically trying to kill the manual calculations and the risk from exchange rates bouncing around.
Okay, simplifying international vendor payments and getting paid by global customers?
Yeah, and the revenue capture probably ties into that, making sure income is booked correctly across different regions and currencies. And spend management likely gives you tools to track and control spending globally, maybe setting different limits or approval flows for different offices.
Got it. And the AI features, you mentioned automation, but it seems like it goes deeper. They talk about an account autopilot for documents.
Right. The idea there is you can just upload, say, an invoice or a receipt, and the AI reads it, pulls out the key info, categorizes it.
Even if it's not in English.
Apparently, yeah. They mentioned French, Greek, Swedish, so it handles different languages. That's potentially a huge time saver for global teams, right? No more trying to figure out foreign invoices or manual data entry.
Huge. Cuts down errors too, I imagine.
Should hope so. Significant reduction in human error is usually a big selling point for AI in these areas.
And this virtual finance assistant, access through Slack or Teams. What's the thinking there?
Convenience, mostly. Giving employees instant answers or help with finance tasks right where they're already working.
Like asking a quick question or submitting an expense.
Exactly. Guiding them through purchase requests, handling reimbursements. Light says the AI learns as it goes, getting better over time based on the transactions it sees.
Sounds handy, but I mean, are there concerns like data security, or can an AI really handle complex, nuanced finance questions?
Those are always valid questions with AI. Light talks about secure data handling, access controls, obviously. But yeah, how well it handles truly complex edge case questions. That probably depends on how sophisticated the AI is and how well it's trained. It likely excels at common repetitive queries first.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, they also make this big claim about rethinking the general ledger. What's that all about? It sounds quite fundamental.
It is fundamental. They're essentially saying the traditional way of thinking about the general ledger, maybe it's just a historical record book, isn't enough. They want their AI native ledger to be the single, unified, intelligent source of truth for all financial data globally.
A single source of truth, the holy grail.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And they hammer home the speed. They're talking sub 500 millisecond response times for reports.
Wow.
Through things like automatic data cleaning and just being built to generate these detailed, accurate, consolidated reports super fast.
Speed is definitely appealing. They also mention global tax engines. What do those do? Taxes are always a nightmare internationally.
Tell me about it. So these engines are meant to automate and simplify that mess. Handling VAT, sales tax, use tax across different jurisdictions. The goal is to make compliance less of a headache.
And combined with the multi-currency stuff.
Exactly. Real-time conversions, automated valuation adjustments. It's all clearly designed for companies that don't just operate in one country.
And you mentioned it's built specifically for multi-entity businesses. What pains are they addressing there?
Yeah, that seems core to their design. Thinking about statutory reporting in country A, consolidated reporting for the whole group, different accounting rules, intercompany transactions.
Yeah.
It gets incredibly complex.
Reconciliation fun.
Right. Light aims to automate a lot of that manual slog. They talk about their in-memory database being able to handle billions of transactions and spit out reports in milliseconds.
Yeah.
That's the kind of power you need for complex global ops.
That's the payoff.
They claim it can shrink the month-end close process
Drastically.
from potentially weeks down to maybe a single day.
A one-day close.
Yeah, making the flash report that quick snapshot your main real-time view rather than waiting weeks for the final numbers. It's a pretty radical shift in mindset for finance teams.
Radical is right. It almost sounds, too good to be true sometimes. What about other features like auditing and workflows?
They talk a lot about comprehensive audit logs, tracking literally every click, every document view, every change. Full transparency.
Which auditors love, I assume.
Oh, yeah. Great for compliance, spotting weird things, just having that clear trail. And on workflows, they emphasize customizable approvals.
So you can set rules.
Exactly. Based on amount, who needs to sign off, specific departments, building in those controls to prevent fraud and make sure spending is authorized properly.
And integrations, are they trying to play nice with other systems?
Seems like a big push. They mentioned integrations with Slack, Teams, HR systems, CRMs, plus connections to over 500 banks.
So trying to fit into the existing tech stack.
Absolutely. That focus is key for getting set up quickly and not disrupting everything, which probably ties into their guarantee.
The implementation guarantee.
Yeah. Live in 4 weeks or it's free. That's remarkably fast for this kind of system. Normally, ERP implementations are infamous for dragging on.
4 weeks is aggressive. Okay, so that speed, the AI, the multi-entity focus, how do they position all this against the established players? NetSuite, QuickBooks, Microsoft Dynamics.
Right, this is where their comparisons in that manifesto really come into play. They draw direct lines in the sand, contrasting their AI-native ledger architecture with what they see as older system designs.
Like what specifically?
Well, database capacity is one. They claim they can scale to billions of transactions without slowing down, implying legacy systems can get bogged down at scale.
Okay. Performance.
And database security, or maybe integrity is a better word, they stress their immutable ledger.
The can't be changed records thing.
Exactly. Once it's recorded, it's locked. They contrast that with legacy systems where, okay, there are audit trails, but posted entries can sometimes be edited. They argue immutability offers a stronger guarantee.
I see. And they mentioned technical database differences, HTAP versus OLTP. Can you simplify that for us? Why does it matter?
Sure. Think of it like this. HTAP, that's hybrid transactional analytical processing, is designed to do two jobs well at the same time. It handles your everyday transactions, like posting an invoice, that's the T, and it runs complex reports and analysis, the A. OLTP, online transaction processing, is really optimized just for the transaction part. It's fast at recording individual things, but can be slower when you ask it to do heavy-duty analysis or reporting across lots of data. Light claims their HTTP approach is why they can offer that sub-500 meters response time for both types of work.
So faster insights because the system isn't juggling separate processes?
That's the core idea behind that technical distinction, yeah. Speed and real-time insights.
Okay, so the tech foundations are different, but what about actual features? How do they compare day-to-day functions?
They go through a whole list, claiming advantages across the board. Accounts receivable, accounts payable, reimbursements, spend management, including budgeting and forecasting tools.
The core finance stuff.
Right. Consolidated reporting, reconciliation, which they say is fully automated and customizable, potentially more so than in older systems. Purchase orders, too, even handling things like blanket POs and matching invoices automatically.
And the AI layer on top.
That's always highlighted as a key differentiator, yeah. For that pre-accounting work, automatically categorizing things and supposedly generating insights you might miss otherwise.
What about taxes? You mentioned the global tax engines earlier.
They bring that up in the comparison too, stressing their ability to handle complex scenarios like partial VAT, reverse charges, use and sales tax accurately. They contrast this with what they call imprecise partial VAT handling in some legacy systems. For companies deep in international trade, that precision could be really important.
It could save a lot of headaches and potential fines. And then there's the implementation time again.
Yeah, that 4-week guarantee versus potentially months or even years for traditional ERPs. It's a major selling point they keep coming back to.
And it ties right into their manifesto, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It underpins their whole argument about why traditional ERPs are supposedly broken.
Okay, let's talk about that Blight manifesto, the death of ERP and the rise of SFP. Wow, provocative title. What's the core argument?
The main thrust is that traditional ERP systems are, well, dinosaurs. Clunky, slow to implement, poorly supported sometimes, and offering questionable ROI, especially for the modern economy.
Which they see as
dominated by the service sector, the tertiary sector. They argue ERPs were born in the manufacturing era, the secondary sector, focused on materials and production lines.
And that focus is wrong for today.
They argue it is for many companies. They point out how CRM, with Salesforce, and HRM with Workday, kind of got carved out of ERPs into specialized, better systems.
Right, best of breed.
Yeah. And Light's take is that service companies often don't need that super tight coupling of sales orders and material inputs that was core to old ERPs. They need great tools for people, clients, and finance.
And the various specialized finance tools that have popped up for AP, expenses, etc., they see those as just Band-Aids.
Exactly. Symptoms of the underlying problem. The core financial platform being outdated. They call it patching gaps in a finance Frankenstack. Leads to data silos, inefficiency, more cost.
Okay, so if ERP is dead, what's their alternative? This SFP.
Right. The Smart Financial Platform. They're proposing it as a whole new category, designed from the ground up, specifically for the accounting, bookkeeping, reporting, and financial workflow needs of service sector businesses.
And benefit is?
Faster international expansion without huge ERP budgets and endless projects. Automated accounting, getting quick answers via tools like Slack. Basically, finance built for speed and the way modern service companies work.
And Light, naturally, positions itself as the first.
AI-native SFP. That's their claim to fame. Using AI for multi-currency bookkeeping, real-time reporting, smart pre-accounting, all with a user-friendly interface and good integrations. Empowering finance teams, they say, to build automations without needing to be hardcore coders.
Okay, let's get specific on some use cases. Accounts payable, the AI invoice reading. What's the real benefit there?
Time saving, primarily. Less manual data entry. You upload an invoice, the AI grabs the vendor, invoice number, amounts, terms, reduces errors too.
And faster approvals via Slack and Teams.
Yeah, streamlines the workflow.
Oh.
No more invoices sitting in email inboxes for days.
And expenses. Similar idea.
Pretty much. Automated report creation, real-time tracking of spending, AI analytics looking for patterns or savings. They show an example of their object. Title system processing a receipt, pulls out the description, category, cost center, converts currency, all automatically.
The company cards they offer, vendor and employee cards. How do those fit in?
It's about capturing data at the source. Transaction happens on the Light card. It's logged automatically. Employee snaps a pic of the receipt via Slack or email. It gets attached. Gives the finance team much better real-time visibility and control over spending.
Makes sense. And procurement. Making that smoother.
Yeah, streamlining the whole purchase-to-pay cycle. Easier PO creation, custom approval workflows, automatically matching invoices to POs to make sure everything lines up before payment. Better cost control, fewer mistakes.
What about the other side, accounts receivable? Getting paid.
They seem focused on handling more complex revenue models, like subscriptions, managing contracts, recurring billing, handling changes like upgrades or discounts. They show an example of tracking invoice status easily, giving better visibility into cash flow.
And vendor management.
Yeah.
Just keeping track of suppliers.
A bit more than that. Tracking contract renewals, assigning tasks related to vendors, adding notes. Basically a central place to manage those relationships and obligations.
Okay, this is interesting. The carbon footprint feature they mentioned is coming soon. Why put sustainability reporting in a finance platform?
It's definitely tapping into the growing importance of ESG, environmental, social governance.
Yeah.
By building in real-time carbon emission reporting, including Scope 3.
Scope 3 being the supply chain emissions.
Right, often the hardest to track. By integrating it, they're potentially making it much easier for businesses to track their environmental impact, report on it credibly, they mention a full audit trail, and maybe even identify ways to improve. It shows finance platforms are broadening their scope.
Fascinating. Okay, let's try and wrap this up. If you had to boil it down, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive into Light?
Well, Light is definitely positioning itself very clearly as a modern AI-first challenger to traditional ERPs. It's built, they say, for the needs of today's global service-oriented businesses.
That's with the smart financial platform concept.
Exactly. Powered by that AI-native ledger. The core promises are automation of accounting tasks, smoother workflows, real-time financial visibility, and a much, much faster implementation.
And the differentiators.
I'd say the deep AI integration throughout, the strong focus on user experience, not just for finance folks, the native multi-entity capabilities, and those robust auditing features. Those seem to be the key things they're highlighting.
That's a great summary. And it definitely leaves you thinking, doesn't it? I mean, if Light's argument about the shift to a service economy is right, how might a dedicated smart financial platform really change how businesses handle finance and strategy compared to these big, sometimes clunky, all-in-one ERPs? Could this push towards AI-native, more focused platforms be the start of a bigger trend in enterprise software? Are we moving away from those giant monolithic systems towards smarter, more agile solutions built for specific needs? Definitely something for you to think about.
Thanks for tuning in. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or your favorite app. And connect with us on LinkedIn for more stories and insights.